Good evening, dear guests. Tonight's terrifying story takes us up into the Kentucky mountains, and you'll learn that if you take something that isn't yours, something may want it back. Join us for Hell of a Tale.
I'm an old man now, and I don't sleep much. Nights get long when you've been alive long enough to know what waits out there. I was just a boy when it happened. Maybe 10, maybe 11. Hard to say. Time weren't kept careful up in them hills. Me and my daddy lived alone in a rundown house tucked deep in the Kentucky mountains. Mama died when I was small. Fever took her. Folks used to die of things with no proper names back then. She just went to sleep one winter and never woke. After that, it was just us. We lived off what we caught and what we could keep alive. A few chickens, 2 goats when times were good. Daddy trapped the ravines and hunted the ridges. I followed when he let me, learned where to set steel and where not to. One morning when Daddy was laid up with his leg hurting, I took a trap and went farther than I'd ever gone, down past the switchback trail, down where the light didn't quite settle right. I set the trap near a game run and left quick, heart thumping like I'd done wrong already. When I came back the next day, I knew something was off before I even saw it. The trap chain was stretched tight. The ground was tore up something awful. And caught in them jaws wasn't no leg. It was a tail. Biggest tail I ever seen. Black as coal, thick as a fence post at the base, tapering off rough and wild. The fur was coarse, oily almost, and still warm. Whatever it belonged to had tore itself free. I didn't hear nothing, didn't see nothing, just that tail. Laying there. I carried it home over my shoulder, proud and nervous all at once. Daddy's face went hard when he saw it. He told me I'd done wrong, told me some things ain't trophies, but he didn't make me throw it away. That night I nailed it to the wall above my bed. Thought it looked powerful. Thought it meant I'd trapped something worth remembering. I slept with it over me, brushing the wall when the wind moved the house. That was the last good sleep I had for a long while. The next morning, I come awake to my daddy's hand on my shoulder, shaking me hard enough my teeth clacked. He was mad already. I could hear it in his breath before he ever spoke. "Get up," he said. "Now." For a second, I didn't know where I was. Then my eyes went up the wall and I near jumped clean out of the bed. That tail was still there, black and thick, nailed over me, hanging like it was listening. Took me a heartbeat to remember why it was there at all. Just a foolish prize, just something I'd brought home. Daddy saw me looking at it and his face twisted, but he didn't say nothing about it then. He just grabbed my arm and hauled me outside, barefoot and half awake. "You swore you put the goats up?" he yelled, dragging me past the pen. "I did," I said. "I know I did." He didn't answer, just kept pulling me downhill till the smell hit, coppery and wet. The goats was scattered, what was left of 'em anyhow. One lay tore open at the middle, ribs broke wide like kindling. Another had its head near chewed off, jaw hanging by skin. There was bite marks all over 'em. Deep, ragged holes punched clean through muscle and bone. This weren't a fox, weren't no dog neither. Daddy ranted about carelessness, about mouths to feed, about me thinking I was grown. His voice echoed off the trees, but I wasn't hearing most of it. I was staring at the wounds. They was big, bigger than anything I'd seen. The marks weren't close together like a big cat or spread like a bear. They were strange, like something bit with its whole head and meant it. I cut him off without thinking. "What you reckon done it?" He stopped talking mid-breath. Just stood there staring down at the mess, jaw working slow. He looked older all of a sudden. Smaller too. "I don't know," he said, quiet. Then louder, like he didn't want the woods hearing him doubt. "Must have been something. Big something." Then he turned back on me, anger finding its way home. "That ain't the damn point, son." Told me I'd work sunup to sundown to make it right. Fence mended, wood split, hides scraped. No supper if I complained. I didn't argue. But while he was yelling, I kept seeing that trap in my mind. Kept seeing the way the chain was stretched tight. Kept thinking about how much tail had been left behind. And how much hadn't.
The night come on quick. Work was done, hands sore and backs bent, but the air didn't settle down like it ought to. Wind picked up sudden and mean, rattling the loose boards of the house and moaning down through the holler. Heat lightning kept flaring way off in the distance, with red and purple pops behind the trees. We ate in near silence, cornbread and beans. Daddy sat at the table sharpening the teeth on his steel traps, running the file back and forth. He always did that when he was thinking, but he wouldn't say on what. I stood by the window, staring out at the woods. Trees bent and swayed like they was bowing to something passing through. Leaves tore loose and skittered across the yard. It felt like the whole mountain was breathing hard. That's when I heard it. A sound come up from deep in the ravine, long and low, dragging itself out. Had weight to it too, hurt in it, like something calling through clenched teeth. Then it come again, closer and louder. My stomach twisted. I jumped up, near knocked my chair over. "Daddy!" I yelled. "You hear that?" He didn't look up, just kept working the file. "Wind," he said. "Quit spooking yourself." Then it come again, right outside the house. Close enough I felt it in my chest. Daddy froze. The file stopped. He looked at me then, eyes hard and bright, and reached for the shotgun leaning by the door. Didn't say a word, just cracked it open, checked it, and stepped out onto the porch. I stayed behind him, peeping out from the doorway. The trees was whipping wild now, branches thrashing like I'd never seen. Heat lightning lit the woods in sharp flashes, red, then purple, showing pieces of trunks and leaves and nothing else. Then I smelled something to the left of the porch, wet and musky. Daddy swung the gun and fired blind into the dark. The blast shook the porch boards under our feet. Echo rolled down the holler and died. And then, nothing. No more sound. No moving. No smell. Just the wind and the creak of the trees. Daddy stood there a long moment, gun still raised. Then he backed us inside and barred the door, checked the windows twice. He didn't speak. He sent me to bed without looking at me. I laid there in the dark, heart pounding, staring up at the wall. That tail hung over me, swaying just a little when the wind hit the house. Black hair catching what little light there was. When the light come gray, I got up quiet so I wouldn't wake him. Stepping onto the porch, the air felt normal enough. Cool, damp. Wind laid down some. Birds starting up way off. For a minute, relief hit me hard, so hard my knees near buckled. Whatever it was, it had passed on.
I turned to go back inside. That's when I saw the door. Blood streaked the boards, smeared wide like something had been dragged across it again and again. Feathers stuck to the wood, mashed flat, white and brown both. They was worked into the grain like they'd been pressed there with force. Same on the windows, feathers caught under the nails, blood dried dark around them. I screamed for my daddy. He come running with the shotgun already in his hands, hair wild, eyes sharp. He took one look and stopped dead. Didn't say nothing for a long moment, just stared at the door, then the windows, then the yard. The chicken pen was tore open, feathers everywhere. No birds left, not a one. Daddy swallowed hard. "Cat," he said finally. "Big mountain lion, most like. They come down here sometimes." But his voice didn't carry the way it usually did. I told him we needed to go into town, tell the sheriff, get help. He shook his head slow. "That's a long drive," he said. "Road's bad. Truck ain't been right since winter. And by the time we got back..." He didn't finish.
Instead, he set to work. Steel set wide around the house, chained to stumps and rocks. He moved careful, quiet now, glancing at the tree line more than he needed to. "No chores today," he said, not looking at me. "You stay close." Day didn't last long after that. Sun slid down behind the ridge quicker than it should have. Shadows filled the holler early. By supper time, the woods had gone still. We waited. Daddy stood at the front window with the shotgun laid along the sill. I sat on the floor behind him, back to the table, knees pulled up, listening to my own breath. Hours passed that way. Long enough for my eyes to burn, long enough for my head to dip. Then all of a sudden the woods broke open. Limbs snapped hard and fast, one after another, like trees was being shoved aside. Something big moved through the brush. The sound came rushing straight for us. And then it screamed. Not an animal sound, not a howl, not a roar. It was a word, dragged through a throat that weren't meant to speak. "Tail!" Then the door took a hit like it was kicked by a horse. Boards splintered inward, brace groaning loud enough to hurt my ears. I screamed without meaning to. Daddy spun, shoved me back behind him so hard I hit the wall. "It talked, Daddy!" I yelled. "Quiet!" he barked, voice shaken. "Quiet!" The door slammed again, harder. Wood cracked, nails shrieked as they pulled. The brace bowed in the middle. Daddy fired through the door. The blast near knocked him backward. The sound filled the room, deafened me clean. Then, silence. Smoke hung in the air. Wood dust floated slow. Daddy didn't move for a long second. Then he crept back to the window, hands shaken so bad the barrel rattled against the sill. He leaned in, squinted out. Nothing there. The porch was empty. "Is it gone?" I whispered. Something hit the roof. The whole house jumped. Dust rained down from the rafters. Heavy footsteps crossed overhead, boards bowing under weight they weren't meant to hold. Then it howled again, louder, closer, right above us. "Tail!" Then soot started to pour down the chimney. Bricks cracked sharp, one after another, bulging outward like something was pushing through from above. Daddy backed up, staring, mouth open, gun hanging useless. The chimney burst. The floor shook. Something slammed down on the hearth with a sound like meat hitting stone. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe. The house screamed around us. It was inside. When the dust settled some, not all the way, just enough to see shapes.
There it stood in the busted hearth. It was standing upright, but bent at the middle. Shoulders rolled forward like the weight of it was too much for bone alone. Black hair covered it thick and greasy, clumped with soot and brick dust. Big as a bear in the chest, wider even, but the head weren't right for it. Its face pushed out long and narrow, like a rat's skull stretched too far. A wet snout twitched at the end, split lips pulling back from yellow teeth too long for the mouth they was jammed into. Its eyes caught the firelight, big and round and glassy, but there was something in them. Focus. Knowing. Not blind rage. Arms hung low and loose, longer than they ought to been, cords of muscle running under the fur. The claws at the ends curved down like knives, thick and hooked and blackened at the tips. Behind it, where a tail should have been, there was only a thick stump, raw and knotted over. Old blood caked into the hair. Daddy screamed. "Run!" He brought the shotgun up, hands shaking, but the thing crossed the room in one breath. It slapped the gun aside like it weighed nothing. Wood shattered against the wall. Metal rang sharp. It growled, low and thick. The words scraped out of its throat. Then it hit Daddy. One arm swung wide and caught him square. His body flew across the room and smashed through the cabinet hard enough to break it clean apart. He landed twisted, legs folded under him, his head lolled sideways. He didn't move again. I stood there staring, my mind empty, looking at my daddy folded up like that. Then I ran. I screamed as I tore down the short hall, slammed my bedroom door so hard the boards rattled. Child's thinking took over. No plan, no sense. I dove from my bed, crawled under the blanket, wrapped it tight around my head and chest like it could save me. My whole body shook. My teeth clacked. I couldn't stop it. Heavy steps crossed the floor outside. Slow, deliberate. Nails scraped along the wall, dragging lines into the wood. The floor groaned under the weight. The knob turned. It moved slow, careful, like it knew I was watching even though I couldn't see. The door creaked open inch by inch. Hot breath filled the room. It stank of fur and smoke and iron. The smell crawled into my nose and throat. I pissed myself without meaning to, warmth spreading under me, tears pouring down my face. The weight of it bent the floorboards beside the bed. A shadow fell over me, huge and misshapen, blocking what little light was left. Its breath puffed the blanket with every pull. A low sound rolled out of its chest, deep and rough, like stone grinding together. Something reached toward me. That's all I remember. Everything went black. I come back to myself with a yelp stuck in my throat, heart hammering so hard it hurt. Everything was wet. My shirt, the sheets, my skin, and for a second I couldn't tell if it was sweat or worse. I lay still, listening to my own breath tear in and out. Nothing moved. The room looked the same as always. Walls, floor, window gone gray with morning. I sat up fast and swung my legs down, near fell when my feet hit the floor. That's when I heard it. A soft, metallic clink. I froze, looked down. A long nail lay on the floor by my foot, old and bent, rust flaking off it, still rocking where it had landed. I touched my chest and felt the place where it must have been. My eyes went to the wall above the bed. It was bare. No black hair, no tail hanging there. Just the mark where it had been nailed, dark and empty. I started crying then, breath hitching.
and stumbled into the main room calling for my daddy, fear rushing back all at once when I remembered how he'd lain. He was sitting up against the wall, alive. Blood slicked his mouth and chin. One arm held tight to his side like it hurt to breathe. His eyes were open but dull, like he was looking past me instead of at me. I ran to him and grabbed on, sobbing, pressing my face into his chest. He made a sound like he meant to say my name but didn't have the air for it. Just wrapped his good arm around me and held on. What come after don't sit right in my memory. I know I drove him down the mountain somehow. Don't know how I reached the pedals or kept the truck on the road. Town showed up like it always did, sudden and unreal. After that, Daddy sent me away. Said I'd stay with cousins in a proper town. Said it was better. We didn't argue. We didn't talk about the house or the night or the thing that tore through it. Not once. Not ever. Years went by. Daddy healed enough to live, but he weren't the same man. Then one winter he died quiet in his sleep. The homestead passed to me. I didn't go back, not for years. Not till I was old enough to feel tired more than scared. Papers to settle, land to see to. Now I'm headed back up that mountain. And all I can think about is the tale.
The veil draws shut once more, and our guest from beyond fades into the hush of candlelight. You've done well to linger this long, friend. Not everyone has the stomach for such company. But should you ever feel that cold breath on your neck, or hear a whisper that don't belong to the living, just return here to the Seance Society, where the dead speak and the living listen. Like and subscribe to our channel for more ghastly tales.